there is another episode of Cook Like a Chef, and the chef in question being Mark Moriarty, and he's his new series. The premise is that it takes all his learnings from his years working as a chef in restaurants, and he's going to help us to create restaurant-worthy meals with little or no waste and using staples from the pantry. So, in other words, ingredients that most of us have in our cupboard or our fridge. And he used to be a chef at the Greenhouse restaurant in Dublin, the 2 Michelin starred Greenhouse, by the way. And he was the under 30 Perrier Chef of the Year. He's written 2 cookbooks and has appeared on a number of TV shows. The books are called Flavour and Season, as season 1 being all about seasonal ingredients. But anyhow, the latest series is underway, and I'm delighted to say that he joins us now online. At least I hope he does, because he was gone there for just a second. Mark.
I'm back, I hope, John.
Can
you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can hear you and see you. So if anybody's watching on YouTube or on Facebook, we're on there in full colour. Anyhow, excuse me. How are you doing?
I'm good. I liked the extended introduction there, just in case I didn't appear. Got to go through the whole CV. So a nice start. Lovely sunny day down here. I'm actually in Wicklow today, and very much looking forward to hitting the road after the TV show tonight up to the northwest, up to Donegal for one of my favourite weekends of the year. So I'll be up there for the whole weekend at the Old Glen Bar.
Oh, yes. Okay. Tell us a little bit about that first off.
Yeah, so I used to work with Chef Kieran Sweeney, who you'll probably know for many years down in Dublin, who took over the Old Glen Bar with Cormac Walsh up there about 5 years ago. And we used to do pop-ups together in Dublin. And in that tradition, every year when the TV show comes out, we book in where I come up and cook alongside Kieran at the Old Glen for 2 nights every year. So this Saturday and Sunday. And it's just nice when you're kind of out there on TV and you're doing the PR piece and talking to the radio stations such as yourself, to be able to have events that people can go to along the way. So I always look forward to this one. We'll be I think we've 90 people both nights cooking great produce from all around County Donegal. And it's always a good place to spend a bit of time now is the Old Glen Bar.
Absolutely. And Kieran doing sterling work there, and I see he won another award during the week there at the Irish
Best Chef Ulster.
Yes. But sure, he's used to them now at this stage. He has a mantelpiece full of them.
I think there's no more space left on the wall for all the awards Kieran and Cormac are winning, let me tell you.
Yeah. Anyway, good luck with that over the weekend. It's great. By the way, do you get to do much hands-on cooking apart from food festivals or things like at the weekend? Do you get to be in the kitchen that much with like books and TV and stuff?
I do. So my business at the moment, like I'll do like this event the weekend, I'll probably have about, I'd say 20, 25 of them throughout the year between private dining and events and festivals where I tend not to like the demos too much. I like to actually just open up a restaurant for the night or cook a menu where you can cook 4 people. And then apart from that, between the TV shows, the cookbooks, the Irish Times columns, I'll do about 305 new recipes every year. So a lot of the time it's actually me doing it. So all the prep you see on the TV show tonight, and it's obviously what I do on screen, generally tends to be me. I'm starting to expand the team this year, but I just like, if I always say you're only as good as the last plate of food you cooked. So I like to be very, very hands-on across all my work. And as I say, going up tomorrow for the event this weekend, I'll be prepping tomorrow night and all day Friday in preparation for Saturday and Sunday. It's not like I send a team to just do it all for me.
It sounds like it's a fairly busy schedule, all right. And it's almost like going on tour. Because, you say they're prepping. It's a bit like rehearsing and then getting out on stage and playing live.
Well, very much so. I was very lucky that one of those awards you mentioned back in 2015, I won the World Young Chef, and I was doing pop-ups around Dublin. And part of the thing when I won was I said, I'd love to take my pop-up restaurant around the world like a band would release an album and go on a world tour. And I was very fortunate that we released a menu and I cooked in 12 different cities in 12 different places around the world over 9 months. So as a 24-year-old, that was quite the experience in pulling these events off in random locations. And it was so much fun that I try and keep a little bit of it going every single year.
Young fellas being involved in music and then making their way on as TV chefs. Listen, there's enough of that sort of stuff going on, so let's not encourage it. Back to your show. Started last week, and it's a fabulous premise in that you take some standard ingredients that most of us would have, and you make a meal or maybe more than one meal using them ingredients, and not too many of them.
No, we keep it simple. Like, we're on the 7th series of this show, so you're always trying to freshen it up. Generally, the reason these shows are successful are because they're using ingredients that people already have, and they don't take too long or too many techniques to pull together. So with this show, what I did was I took the statistics from last year's supermarket Kantar statistics, and I give myself 7 ingredients in every show. So 7 basic ingredients. So tonight it's cod, it's a bit of chorizo, it's a bit of parmesan, it's some salad leaves, some leftover herbs, that kind of thing. And I come up with 2 main dishes, and then the third dish in the episode is basically pulling together whatever's left. So we've all been there where we open the fridge before we go to do the next supermarket shop, and there's half a courgette, a piece of sausage, maybe some pasta and some wilted herbs in the bottom of the fridge, and you have to come up with something. And I'm all about treating the home kitchen like you would the restaurant kitchen. And that's not about cooking complicated dishes. It's about making sure that we don't waste a scrap of ingredients, and that we can basically be as cost effective as possible. So, like, money is tight at times. We need to make our shopping go as far as possible. And that is the core sort of learnings from this show. So I'm hoping people will sit down and watch it tonight or in the next few Wednesdays and go, do you know what? I have those ingredients in the fridge. I've never thought of using them that way. I'm going to give that dish a crack.
Yeah, and because we can look at the same ingredients, and I suppose when we go out shopping, we tend to buy a lot of the same stuff, but it's about maybe doing something different with those ingredients. It really annoys me when somebody in our house goes into the fridge and there's something there, and it's like it's maybe tomorrow's date on it, or maybe it's starting to wilt, and they'll go past that and cook something else entirely. The smart thing to do, I suppose, is to use what needs to be used first before it, in case it goes out of date or it has to be dumped. Although sometimes it's easier said than done, and that's where your series comes in to give us different ideas about for using simple ingredients.
Yeah, exactly. And using the freezer and things like that. It's like if we have a load of vegetables that are wilting at the bottom of the fridge, before the next shop comes in, what I do is I'd roast them all off in a tray, say, with some curry spices from the store cupboard, and I'd blend them all up into a kind of a curry sauce, and you can freeze it down or you can keep it in the fridge and you add shelf life to it. These are all things that would be going on in a restaurant kitchen, and that's where the idea of cook like a chef comes from. It's not about cooking a fancy restaurant dish. It's thinking like a chef of, okay, how can we turn this into something else, make sure it goes further, and make sure that we're getting value for every cent that we spend in the supermarket every week.
You mentioned there spices. It's very easy now to go up to pick out just a jar of, say, Indian spices and another jar of Chinese spices, and we just rely on them. If we want an Indian flavor to the dish, we add in the Indian one, and the Chinese one, so on. But I'd imagine as a chef, you're going, well, you know what? Proper spices, individual spices, and flavorings, not that expensive, and you can have one whole shelf dedicated towards them, and then it's just using them in the right combination.
I wouldn't be too much into actually getting the fancy spices or specifics. What I'd always suggest is everyone has a store cupboard at home, and there's really, I call them cheat ingredients that can add lots of flavor very quickly into your dinner tonight. And they are things like have a good quality sea salt, have a decent quality olive oil you can drizzle on top of something, some Dijon mustard, some soy sauce, add a splash of soy sauce into spaghetti bolognese at night, and all of a sudden it becomes something else entirely. It just adds to the seasoning. Those little jelly stock pots, maybe a little jar of Tabasco. These are the things that I would buy maybe once a month and just have in the store cupboard. And they're the little sort of splashes and drizzles that I add at the very end of making my meal for the family that turn it from a good dish into a great dish. So not specifically the fancy spices. It's just things that season your food at the end that are going to give you really quick additions to your staple dishes.
See, my secret ingredients are normally either butter or cream, but you touched on 2 good ones there. One being like a little jelly stock pot, or Dijon mustard. I think a lot of people might be afraid of mustard. They're thinking, oh, should it be English mustard? Should it be Dijon mustard? What's it going to do? What sort of flavor is going to add? But it's very versatile.
Yeah, Dijon mustard is the one I go to. Like English mustard, a tablespoon of that now would
Yeah.
blow your head off.
Mm-hmm.
But again, I always go back to the spaghetti bolognese. If you're making the spaghetti bolognese sauce, do yourself a favor this weekend. It's just add one of those jelly stock pots and maybe a heaped teaspoon of Dijon mustard and stir it in right at the end, and just see the difference from obviously your base flavor to adding that seasoning, and it just becomes something different, completely different, way better seasoned, way more delicious. And it takes, I don't know, a couple of cent extra a week and a couple of extra seconds at the end of putting your dish together.
All good advice, and I mean that's the beauty of watching. Somebody who's experienced when they're doing a TV show, that you bring to the table little hints from the industry, whether that's something like when we're making a pastry, because we keep going back to the basics when we're cooking. We have to do our prep and we have to do our chopping, and maybe we need pastry or whatever. And I remember watching somebody, I think it might have been Evan McGuire years ago, and he was making a white sauce, and he just threw the 3 ingredients into the pan, stirred them up. He says, no need to be, doing the whole butter and flour thing. Just add in all 3, add in the milk and mix them around. It'll turn out fine.
There is an element of that. I won't question Nevin. I wouldn't dare question Nevin on live radio. But
maybe it wasn't Nevin. I can't swear. But
maybe it wasn't Nevin. No, listen, like there's things I'll be doing, say, this weekend in the kitchen for the event that I'll be spending loads of time making sure the onions are properly chopped and all that, because people are spending money in the restaurant. But if I was making the same dish at home for me and the family, I ain't going to spend 5 minutes making sure my onions are perfectly diced. And to be honest, sometimes if I'm really lazy, I might throw all the veg into the NutriBullet, blend it all up into a paste and cook it out that way, because I simply don't have time and it's not going to affect the flavor. Mm-hmm. So I'm all for shortcuts in the kitchen. If it's going to get people cooking more, buying better and local ingredients because they are cooking at home more, then for me, that's a win. I just want people to look at this show tonight and say, do you know what? That's really simple. He made it look really easy. I have those ingredients. I'm going to add my little bit of extra seasoning, and hopefully people will start cooking with just elevating what they're already doing, just that ever so slight bit. And that's a win for me with this TV show.
Yeah, it's about making it as accessible as possible and making it look as easy as possible. Anyhow, RTÉ One tonight at 8:30. Cook like a chef. The best look down in Wicklow, and we look forward to seeing you up here in Donegal over the weekend at the event out in Glen. And we'll chat to you again soon, hopefully, Mark.
Thank you very much, Sean. It was a pleasure.